when you buy a vehicle and there's financing involved, or you buy a piece of real estate, there is a checklist. Every little thing, every little stipulation that has to be met, you could meet 36 of the 37 requirements and be pretty close. You might say, hey, we're close enough. Let's figure this stuff out later on. And the loan originator is going to say, no, we need every box checked. That's how you need to think about nailing the handoff. Hey guys, Todd Dawalt here from Construction Leading Edge. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. If it's your first time joining us, we are all about helping construction business owners systematize their business so they have more freedom, more impact, and more wealth. So let me ask you this. Does this sound familiar? You start the year off, or you start a project off, and you kind of do the best you can with what you're dealing with. Surprises pop up. You end up spending a lot of time in firefighting, reactive mode, and then before you know it, the year is half over, and you're looking at results, and things aren't really going the way that you hoped they would. Then you get to the end of the year, and you look at your results, and you're not really happy with those results. You're not earning the kind of money you wanted to. You didn't really accomplish your goals. Maybe you had some goals, but they are just sitting on the shelf collecting dust. And you get to the end of the year and look at the results, and you're just not happy. Or you get to the end of a project and look at the results, and things just didn't go the way you wanted them to, and you're not happy. Well, that is what I call left to right thinking. And most people are stuck in left to right thinking. They just take it one step at a time. They do the best they can with what they've got. They take the work that comes along. They take the people that come along and got to do the best they can. And they take this wait and see approach. Lots of waiting for results, not a lot of seeing results. So some of the problems that I've seen, that I've had when I operated in left to right thinking, frankly, it's just hard to achieve anything. Maybe you set goals, but then they just get forgotten about. You don't really achieve anything. You end up trapped in, or at least prone to, shiny object syndrome, bouncing from one thing to the other, go in one direction for a while, switch, go in another direction for a while, then switch and go in another direction for a while, chasing shiny objects. And there's just a lack of focus. But what if you could actually set targets? What if you could decide what you wanted and then turn that into a reality? At least increase the chances of turning that into reality. What if you could set goals for your business, for your life, for your health, and you could actually achieve those goals? If you could feel like you're in the driver's seat. What if you could set goals and then work backwards and reverse engineer a plan to turn those into reality? Well, that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. And I'm going to roll out and walk through 5 ways to put right to left thinking to work for you. Okay. 5 ways that you can put right to left thinking to work for you. So first of all, what is right to left thinking? What are we talking about? Well, right to left thinking means going out to the right side of the page and deciding what you want, and then working from right to left, working backwards and coming up with a plan and answering the question, what would it take to make this happen? Okay. So let me give you a few examples. 5 ways, 5 examples, 5 parts, or 5 ways to use right to left thinking in your business. So first of all, let's talk about the big picture, strategic planning. All right. Big picture, right to left thinking. You need to start with that question. What do you want? Right? What do you want? What does your ideal lifestyle look like? How much do you travel? What parts of the business do you want to be involved in? How much do you want to work? What part of the country or what part of the world do you want to live in? Right? And then think 5 years in the future. If you were creating a schedule or a plan of your business 5 years out, go out to the 5-year mark. Here we are at the end of 2023. Go out to the end of 2028, 5 years out. What do you want your life to look like? And then work backwards from there. What does my business need to look like in order to support that lifestyle. How big is the company? How many projects are we doing? How much revenue do we need to generate? How much net profit do we need to generate to support the lifestyle that I want? And then think about, what does your role with the company look like? What do you want to do, right? And ask yourself questions. Do I like sales? Do I like estimating? Do I like running operations? If the answer is no, then don't do those things and design your company to operate the way you want it to run. And then let's work backwards, work from right to left. From 5 years, go back to 12 months from now. What are some specific goals you need to accomplish 12 months from now in order to achieve your 5-year vision? And then you work backwards from there and come up with some 90-day goals. And these are the things you focus on. You live in the next 90 days. What are the issues that you need to solve? What are the constraints that are keeping you from achieving your 90-day goals? What are the problems that need to be resolved? And then identify the root cause of those problems, put people and processes and tools in place to fix them. So here's what this will do for you from a strategic planning standpoint. Number one, you'll have clarity on where you're going. Actually, number one is you'll know what you want. A lot of people I've talked to have never answered this question. What do you want? So number one, you'll have clarity on what do you want. You'll have clarity on what your ideal lifestyle looks like. You'll have clarity on what your business needs to look like in order to get there. And you'll have clarity on where you're going. There's a quote from the Stoic philosopher Seneca that goes something like this: if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. If you don't know which port you're sailing to, no wind is favorable. So if it feels like if it feels like the wind is always in your face, it could be because you don't know where you're going. So have clarity on where you want to go. And here's another thing. This may sound a little bit woo-woo, a little bit out there, but I found that the right resources and the right opportunities and the right people tend to come to those people who have a clear direction. Those people who have made a firm decision on where they're going tend to have the resources and the right people come to them, right? So what this will also do for you is you'll know exactly what you need to focus on and what you don't need to focus on. If it's not helping you achieve your 12-month vision, if it's not helping you achieve your 90-day goals, then you don't need to worry about it. Shiny object floats in front of you. You can look at your goals and say, is this going to help me achieve that? And if the answer is no, then you just dismiss that shiny object, that opportunity of a lifetime that comes along, because you know exactly what you need to be focused on, and that thing doesn't line up with it. Okay? So first way to use right to left thinking is big picture strategic planning. The second way is with your financials. Okay? So let's talk about how you would use right to left thinking when it comes to your financials. So first of all, we've established what our ideal lifestyle looks like, what we want, and we need to come up with a net profit target for the year for the business. In other words, how much net profit does this business need to generate to support the lifestyle that we want? And then you work backwards from there, from right to left, and come up with a gross profit target. And then you develop a revenue target for the company for the year. And then you break that down into monthly revenue targets. And then you create a revenue target for each month for each of your projects. And then you develop an execution plan for each project that answers the question, what would it take to generate this amount of revenue on this project this month? And that is what your field team, that's what your leadership team works on to achieve. So imagine if you knew exactly what your revenue target was for next month, and you had it broken down per project. So you knew how much revenue you need to generate per project next month, and you knew exactly what you needed to do to achieve that revenue. What line items on your schedule of values do you need to complete? What milestones do you need to achieve? What does your draw schedule look like to achieve those revenue targets? We have a tool that we use with our clients. It's called the Revenue Maximizer, and it helps you forecast and do all of that. So that's what financial right to left thinking looks like, and it is getting into the driver's seat of your financials. It's driving your schedules. It's what I call scheduling for revenue, right? Your business has real life economic realities. You have overhead costs. You have cost of goods. You need to generate a certain amount of gross profit every month in order to cover your overhead and to hit your net profit targets. And by thinking right to left, that puts you in the driver's seat so you can drive your revenue. And this is a big mental shift, and it's a key if you want to achieve your financial targets. So think about what this would do for you. How does this show up, right? So think long-term retirement. Retirement's coming for all of us at some point. And in order to be able to retire or retire the way you want to, you need to have a certain amount of money available to you. So you would develop a certain amount of money. So what this would look like, there's one simple method, the FIRE method for financial independence. It looks something like this. It uses the 4% rule. And that says you figure out how much money do you want, how much income do you want in retirement per year. Let's say you want $100,000 a year in income in retirement. Then you use the 4% rule and you divide that by 4%. And you come up with, that says, I need $2.5 million in investments. And when I have that, I can draw 4% of that each year and generate $100,000 of income. That's right to left thinking. So if that's your number, whatever your number is, you can double that number, cut it in half, whatever your lifestyle is. Again, it goes back to the question, what do you want? And you come up with that number. If you want $2 million, $2.5 million in investments by the time you retire, you have a date by which you want to retire, and you do some financial projections, do a little math, and you figure out how much you need to invest each year, break that down, and establish how much you need to invest each month in order to make that happen, and you operate from right to left. So here's an example. We just had a live event in Naples, Florida last week, and a couple of our clients said they've been in business for 16 or 18 years, running a small business, and they'd always dreamed of owning a beach house, but they never really thought it was possible. And they met with their financial advisor and said, hey, we want to buy a beach house. And that financial advisor did some math and said, all right, you need this amount of money to make a down payment on a beach house. And you want to do that in 5 years. So now Josh and Mary have a plan to buy a beach house in 5 years. And they know exactly what they need to do this month, next year, so that in 5 years, they can have the beach house that they dreamed of. That's how right to left thinking works for you from a financial standpoint. Now, let's talk about sales. Sales may seem like something that's elusive. You have no control over it, but you can actually use right to left thinking to drive your sales. Let's take a look at what this looks like. All right, so we've established what our lifestyle looks like. We've established what our net profit needs to look like each year, and we have a revenue target. We need to generate X amount of revenue each year. Therefore, we need to generate that amount in sales each year. Okay, so we have our revenue target. Then we work backwards from right to left. And we come up with, what is our closing percentage? What percentage of opportunities are we going to convert into sales? Then we come up with a number of opportunities we need to look at. And then we establish, well, how many leads do we need each year to generate those opportunities? So once we get to that point, we can look at this from left to right. All right, we need this many leads, which will convert into this many opportunities, which will convert into this many sales, which will achieve our revenue target. So a couple of examples. Imagine that your revenue target is $6 million per year. All right. Divide that by 12 and you have $500,000 a month in sales. Assume that your closing percentage is somewhat low. It's 50%. Okay. And I'll just pause. If you're a builder or remodeler and your closing percentage is lower and you're doing free estimates, then I would encourage you you need to get paid for pre-construction services. Your closing percentage will be much higher, and you'll get paid for doing all of that stuff. And you can get your hands on everything you need to get paid for estimates in our cleverly named Get Paid for Estimates Masterclass. That's exactly what it's called, the Get Paid for Estimates Masterclass. Hundreds of people have gone through this program, and they are getting paid for estimates. You can get that over at constructionleadingedge.com/start, START. So back to our example, $6 million a year means $500,000 per month in sales. On average, we're closing 50%. And let's assume that 50% of our leads are qualified, right? Simple math, basic stuff. So assume that your average project size is $250,000. That means you need to close or sign 2 of those contracts per month on average. We're closing 50%, so that means we need 4 opportunities per month. And 50% of our leads are qualified, so that means we need 8 leads per month. In other words, if we get 8 leads per month, that gives us 4 qualified opportunities. We'll close 2 of those at an average of $250,000, and we'll hit our $500,000 a month sales target, which will lead us to the $6 million a year sales target. Assume that your average project size is $1 million. Revenue target is still $6 million, and your average project is $1 million. That means you need to close 1 deal every 2 months, which means you need 1 opportunity per month, which means you need 2 leads per month, right? So the question becomes, all right, what would it take to generate 2 leads per month? What sort of advertising do we need to do? What sort of outreach do we need to do? What sort of referral partnerships? How many lunches do I need to have with architects and designers? What would it take to generate those 2 leads per month? And then you put that plan into place. Okay, that is right to left thinking for sales. You can systematize your sales process because it's a numbers game, right? All right, so that's number 3. So far, we've talked about big picture strategic planning. We've talked about financial right to left thinking. We just covered sales and what that looks like. Next, let's talk about your projects, okay? A lot of the people we work with have challenges on their projects. They have some chaos even during the projects. There can be chaos during the design and selection process. There can be schedule delays. There can often be missing selections. There can be schedule overruns, budget busts, allowance busts. Oh, hey, we need you to select this thing like right now. The tile guy starts Monday and we don't have a tile selection. So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, we need you to select this today if you can. Otherwise, we're going to have a delay. And then the tile they select perhaps is out of stock or discontinued, or it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get in. And then what do you do? That sets off this domino effect of chaos, right? Schedule delays, profit bleeds, unhappy customers. Nobody's happy at the end of a project. Punch lists are a nightmare. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. So what's the answer? The answer is to nail the handoff, okay? Nail the handoff. Think about your projects as a series of handoffs. Information is being handed from you or from your client to your sales team, from the sales team to estimating, perhaps, from estimating and sales back to the customer. And then there are these series of handoffs. If there's an architect involved, there's a handoff to the architect. There's a handoff from the architect back to the contractor. And there's this, think of your projects as a series of handoffs. And it's just like the 4x100 meter relay, right? A few years ago in the Olympics, the U.S. Olympic team had some of the most athletic, some of the fastest men on earth individually, but they botched the handoff. And it doesn't matter how fast of a runner you are, you could have the 4 fastest people on earth on a relay team, but if they can't handle the handoff, if they don't nail the handoff, then nothing matters. And it's the same way on a construction project. You can have the most talented team, But if there's not a good handoff of information, it's not going to work. And this is where a lot of people get stuck as they're growing their business, because it works when it's all stuck in your head, right? When every piece of information is in your head and you don't have to hand it off to anyone, it works. But then as you grow and you hire someone, you hire a superintendent, or you hire someone to do pre-construction, maybe hire someone as a project manager, then there has to be a handoff of information. And this is where people experience a lot of growing pains, because things slip through the cracks, because there has to be a good handoff. So here's how to think about nailing the handoff. Again, right to left thinking. Let's go out to the right side of the page and imagine a good handoff from the office to the field. We're going to hand off the project from your estimating or pre-construction or sales to your operations team or your construction team, the people who are going to build it, right? So that's over on the right side of the page. And then we ask the question, all right, what would it take to give the field team everything they need to finish, instead of what we call just enough to start, the JETS trap, doing just enough to start, right? If that resonates with you, you need to focus on nailing the handoff. So if we've got a good handoff, what would it take to hand that off? Work from right to left, okay? They need things like, they need a complete set of documents. They need building permits in hand. They need long lead times ordered. They need, hey, while we're at it, let's make all of the selections before we get started. And if you're wondering if that's even possible, the answer is yes, and you absolutely should be making all of the selections during the pre-construction phase, prior to the handoff. All right. Well, we need to hand our superintendent a list of all the materials that they're going to need. And hey, while we're at it, what if we went ahead and sourced those materials and we actually had a stack of purchase orders for them? What if we gave them a list of all the contacts for the subcontractors and all of the notes from the conversations we had? What if we had this stuff all in one place, like Buildertrend or CoConstruct or JobTread, some piece of software? Wouldn't it be great if your field team had everything they need to finish when they got started? And then while we're at it, let's clearly define roles and responsibilities. Who's doing what here? Who is going to do this step and hand it off to this person, right? And then all of this can be summarized in a handoff checklist. And imagine having a handoff meeting, could be a brief meeting, could be a lengthy meeting, just depending on the complexity and the size of the project. Having an actual handoff meeting where the pre-construction, sales, estimating office staff sits down with the operations team, and there is a handoff. There's a handoff checklist that says, this is everything I need in order to complete this project. Sort of like if you've ever gone to a loan closing, right? When you buy a vehicle and there's financing involved, or you buy a piece of real estate, there is a checklist. Every little thing, every little stipulation that has to be met. And there could be, if you could meet 36 of the 37 requirements, it'd be pretty close. You might say, hey, we're close enough. Let's figure this stuff out later on. And the loan originator is going to say, no, we need every box checked. That's how you need to think about nailing the handoff. The handoff from the office to the field needs to be like a loan closing. And they need to have everything they need to finish instead of just enough to start. What we found, and this is after managing $300 million worth of projects, small bathroom remodels up to $100 million high rises and everything in between, 80% of the problems on job sites can be eliminated during pre-construction. 80% of the problems on job sites, the profit bleeds you're dealing with, the chaos, the fires you have to put out, can be eliminated with a good handoff from the office to the field. So imagine that. Your field team has everything they need to finish the job at the beginning. And they've agreed, yes, I accept this project. I am now accountable and responsible for this project. I have everything that I need. Think about all the problems that you're dealing with currently that would be solved with a good handoff. All right. Number 5, this is another way that you can use right to left thinking, and it is hiring someone for a new role. Okay, a new role. Imagine you're many people are in this situation. They need to hire a project manager, and they've never had a project manager. They need to hire a superintendent, a pre-construction manager, an operations manager, a VP of sales, and they've never had this role. So what a lot of people do is they make some very common mistakes when it comes to hiring people. They don't have any clarity around roles and responsibilities. They say things like, let's just get this person in here and they'll set up the system for me. Let's go hire somebody, get them in here, and then we'll figure it out. We'll figure out exactly what they're going to do when they get here. And what happens is they end up wasting time, money. These new hires flounder because they don't know what the hell they're supposed to be doing, and they end up leaving. We worked with a client a year and a half ago or so, and the business owner had hired a very talented young lady, and she was there for 3 or 4 months, and we interviewed her, and she said these exact words: I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. 3 or 4 months into this new role, she's very excited about it, and she says she had no idea what she was supposed to be doing. And it's because it was a moving target. There were no clearly defined roles or responsibilities. It was complete left to right thinking when it came to hiring this young lady. So here's a better process, right? Think right to left, right? So start thinking 2 years out. What does my organization look like, right? We've done our strategic planning. You know what your organization looks like. You know what you want to do. You know what you don't want to do. You know what you like. You know what you hate when it comes to parts of your business. So you design your business the way you want it to look 2 years out. You have the major functions of your business designed. You have the roles designed to make this business run the way you want it to. You know what your operations team looks like. How many project managers or superintendents do you have on the team? You know what your pre-construction team looks like. And if you're wondering, how can I structure my business? What are some of the big levers I can pull to streamline my business and systematize it? One would be to have a clearly defined pre-construction group or a pre-construction team. So you're dividing up pre-construction from construction or operations, right? So you know exactly what each major function of your business looks like: the sales team, the pre-construction team, the operations team, the finance and administration team. And you map out the processes that they're going to be a part of. And when you do that, it will become very clear, who do you need to hire first? Actually, as you go through this exercise, you may realize, oh, we don't actually need to hire somebody else. We just need to shuffle the deck. And we realize we're all stepping on each other's toes over here and duplicating efforts. We just need to be more efficient, and we can get more work done with the same amount of people, and we don't actually need to hire anybody. So right to left thinking, again, figure out what your business looks like, what the structure of it is, design it to run the way you want it to run, back into, all right, what does this look like? And then what does each individual role look like? Do we need to hire someone? If yes, now we have a very clear job description. We advocate coming up with a big five, a list of the big 5 activities for each role. So they'll know exactly, these are the big 5 things that will lead me to win. People want to know, what does winning look like in this role? And when you can clearly articulate that to them with a list of the big 5 activities, basically saying, if you do these big 5 things every day, every week, every month, every quarter, you will most likely be winning. And then you go out to the market. You have a clearly defined job description, a clearly defined list of the big 5, clarity on what you're looking for, type of person you're looking for, the skills that they need to show you through the hiring process. And then it'll be very clear who you need to hire. Okay? So to summarize, right to left thinking is starting with the end in mind, setting goals, and then working backwards or working from right to left to create the systems that will generate those results. Strategic planning, your financials, your sales, nailing the handoff, and hiring. And it all starts with one question that is surprisingly difficult for many of us to answer. And that question is, what do you want? What do you want? And that may seem like a really simple question to answer, but when you sit down, and if you're like I was, and like a lot of people are, if you didn't think you get to answer that question, if you feel like I was up until 8 years ago or so, and you thought, well, I don't get to choose. Life just chooses for me. I'm here to tell you, you get to choose. What do you want? And here's the deal. Somebody is going to determine how successful you are. Somebody is going to determine what your life looks like. Could be your customers, your team, the economy, politicians, your trade partners. It's either going to be outside forces that determine what your life looks like, or it could be you. So if somebody's going to determine how successful I'm going to be, what my lifestyle looks like, I say it might as well be me, right? I say, get in the driver's seat, realize that you can get in the driver's seat of your business. You can get in the driver's seat of your life, and ask yourself the question, what do I want? That's where it all starts. And then you can work from right to left to turn that into a reality. Thanks for listening. I'm Todd Dawalt from constructionleadingedge.com. Hey, if you got value out of this podcast, if you could leave a rating and or a review, if you're listening to this on a podcast player like Apple Podcast or Spotify, that would be fantastic. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, let me know what was valuable, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening or watching. That would mean a lot to me. And you can head over to constructionleadingedge.com for more resources. Thanks so much for listening or watching. See you next time. And hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more details over at constructionleadingedge.com/podcast. And if you get value out of this podcast, would you do me a favor? Would you please leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify? And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you own a construction business and you feel stuck, or you feel like you're spending too much time in day-to-day firefighting, maybe dealing with all of the problems, if everything's stuck in your head, or if you just don't feel like you have time or energy to work on your business because you feel like you're stuck working in it, if you want your business to run without you so you can take a vacation, or maybe to be able to sell your business one day, or if you just frankly want the business to survive if something happens to you, then there are 4 crucial systems that you need to have in place. Number 1, if you're a home builder, remodeler, or commercial general contractor, you have to get paid for estimates. Those free estimates are killing your bottom line, sucking the life out of you. And you can get all the tools you need to get paid for estimates, the templates, sales scripts, pricing guidance, and let's face it, the confidence that you need. You can get all of that for free right now over at constructionleadingedge.com/start. You'll get the entire Get Paid for Estimates masterclass. Go to constructionleadingedge.com/start. You can get all of that for free. The second crucial system is that you need to design your business for the future. You need to establish the major functions of your business and the results that each function is accountable for. You need to have clearly defined roles and responsibilities. This is the foundation of every successful business, and the best way to do that is to design your accountability chart for the future. Number 3, you need to design and document your process to nail the handoff from the office to the field. This is a very disciplined and documented process that maps out every step of the pre-construction process. Look, companies that are good construction companies are actually good pre-construction companies. They're good pre-construction companies. And when you design your nail the handoff process and you have this in place, this is going to eliminate 80% of the profit bleeds and the schedule delays and chaos on your job sites. And you'll also need to learn the secret sauce for getting your team to actually implement and follow a process. Number 4, the 4th crucial system are the leadership systems that your team will use to convert your goals into reality. Look, somebody needs to be planning tomorrow's work today. Someone needs to be doing a 2-week look ahead. Someone needs to be establishing the most important things for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and you need to be having regular team meetings that are actually functional. Those are your leadership systems. And if you would like our help putting those crucial systems in place in your business so that your business can run without you, so you can get out of day-to-day firefighting and take that firefighter hat off, or if you want to be able to sell your business one day, here's the next step. Go to constructionleadingedge.com/apply and schedule a free business evaluation call with our team. On that call, we're going to do a few things. We'll help you uncover the real root causes of your problems. Number 2, help you get clear on your objectives that you want to accomplish. And then number 3, to map out a plan to make it a reality. We'll also share with you some of the things that our construction business owner clients are doing to accomplish their goals and solve the problems that you're probably dealing with. And then if you're a fit, it looks like we have a good mutual fit, we'll discuss our Systematize Your Construction Business program. So to schedule your free business evaluation, head on over to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY. Hey, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.